Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lucy and today I'm going to be talking all about my experience as a first year student midwife. I've got this notebook with me in which I've detailed all of the things which I think you would like to know before starting, and so I'm just going to go through it and talk about how I felt, what I did, all of that sort of stuff. This is the real reason why I started my channel in the first place. I got to September before I was going to start and I was looking everywhere for where people had recorded their experience because I was so nervous. But actually I couldn't really find much, so I thought today's the day I'll make that video. I'm going to start with detailing what I experienced in my first week. We had a week of like introductions and things before we properly started learning midwifery, where we just sort of went in, met each other. We actually did videos, group videos, and we were put into groups and we did like a little video diary of our first couple of days, sort of going around campus and talking about who we are, what we like, what we expect to get out of the degree. It was really fun, and actually on our last day together we rewatched those videos and it was really cool to look back and see the change, because there will be so much change. In that first day and week I was so nervous about making friends and meeting people and fitting in, when actually it's not really anything to be worried about. And don't stress about meeting your best friends on the first day, so don't stress about a first impression because you'll find your people. It's not like going to a big uni with loads of people where you meet all together for one day and then you scatter. You see these women a lot of the time for I guess 3 years, and you really, hopefully you'll make friends with everyone like my whole cohort did, or you'll find your group and you'll be happy like that. But making friends is not something to be worried about because you'll meet all these lovely women and you're all in this together, and there's a real good sense of that in the cohort. At least that's what I experienced. And yeah, within that week we also had to do all of our occupational health stuff and our mandatory training, like our life support, moving and handling. That's all sort of just like the formalities, the basic training that you need, especially before going out into placement. And we sort of had that all meshed in with our first sort of 4 weeks. So we had our like vaccinations and blood tests and things for occupational health. But yeah, once that's all out of the way, you jump right into midwifery. We did 4/5 units. We did 4 sort of academic units in uni that were taught, and then we had the practice module, which is our placement. Our units were foundations of midwifery practice, clinical skills, anatomy, physiology, and the politics and philosophy of midwifery. We had different assessments for all 4 modules. For FMP we had a poster presentation, for clinical skills we had an OSCE, anatomy and physiology an exam, and for politics and philosophy we had an essay. I'm going to make another video at some point about how to pass assignments, because I believe that I have some tips and tricks which everyone could use, just like the basics of how to pass an assignment at sort of level 4. So I will make that video at some point, but right now we're going to talk about the units. We had 2 taught sessions a week where we'd come in and have sort of like lectures all day. So we'd sit in a classroom and we'd discuss and learn and all sorts of things. But in the rest of our time we'd be expected to complete sort of self-directed study, sort of reading around our topics and just getting familiar with like maybe more of the practice side or the theory behind what we were learning, just so we could go to the lessons and be sort of active listeners and like ask intelligent questions. And that's really important, because if you know a bit about what you're going in to learn beforehand, you can ask good questions, and if you reread and read around the topic afterwards, you have a much broader and deeper understanding, and I found that definitely helps you pull that knowledge that you've learned in the classroom and apply it to practice. In between our taught sessions we had blocks of university and placement. So after being in uni, I think it was 8 weeks, I went out on my first placement block. I was placed in the hospital under the midwifery led unit, so that was where I was using my labour and birth skills the most, or I was learning my labour and birth skills the most then. I was a fresh student. Gosh, it was a shock, but it's sort of either a sink or swim moment. Luckily for me, I was able to sort of just jump in there and try my best. I can't say I was the best student ever on placement. I found placement quite difficult, and I still do sometimes, because it's just one of those environments where you're working and you're learning at the same time, and you're also being assessed. It can be quite overwhelming, but once you get over the fear of that, you sort of jump in there and you're on a roll, and when you know something, it's really fun to just go and do it. Placement is just one of those things. You do all types of shifts, earlies, lates, long days, nights, all sorts of shifts. And when you're in community placement, which was my second placement block, you can do on-calls. I actually did get called out to a home birth once and it was amazing. But yeah, community days are different. Hospital days, the days are shorter, you do visits or clinics. I really like the community. Just seeing lots of different people in and out quickly is really interesting to me, and sort of talking to women. But yeah, community care and hospital care are very different, but the most important thing then is communication, and you learn communication really quickly, like writing in notes, talking on the phone, arranging appointments, asking questions of women to try and draw out an answer rather than asking like a straight question which they might not know the answer to or might not think they know the answer to. You really use your decision making skills on community placement, and it's just really fun. But when you're on placement, I was very supported, and I know most other student midwives are very supported by their mentors and their personal academic tutors from uni. Mentors can be amazing, mentors can be okay, but you can learn from literally everyone. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about having a bad mentor. If you have a bad mentor, report it, talk to someone about it, but there's learning from literally everything. On placement, it's also really important to be proactive, use your initiative, and just take every opportunity. Sometimes it's easy for mentors to forget that you want to try things, or maybe this is the first time you've seen something. So if you just throw yourself into situations, you'll do really well for it. And mentors really like you when you use your initiative. It's a quality which mentors and midwives really like in a student. It's also really important when you're in uni and on placement to have time for yourself. You do get free time. You do have time for yourself. And maybe it's not the same quantity that you're used to. Maybe it's not the same frequency that you're used to. You might have to go a long period of time where you're sort of flat out. I know I did. But that's all my own fault because I had a lot of rest before. But you sort of work through it and you find what's good for you. If you want, you can have time for a job. I personally did, but I was very lucky that I only worked 4 hours a week, and sometimes not even that, because my boss was amazing. But things like family and social life, you might have to tell your family, actually I can't do all of the things that you want me to do because I've got to study, or I've got to go to work, or I need some sleep, or I need some time for me. It's a very full-on degree, but you can work around it and just really use your time effectively. Being organised is key. Have a schedule, have a planner, know what you're doing, but take time for yourself. Volunteer. I did. I love it. Like, have other things that you do which you find fun that are not midwifery based. Exercise, go to the gym, meet with friends, whatever. Just make sure you have that time, because you do have it. Just make sure you slot it in there. Don't feel like you need to be studying all the time because you'll burn out. In midwifery, you sort of just go to uni like every other student, but you have placement blocks in between. That's why it's so long. Sort of my timeline was uni, placement, holiday, placement, uni, holiday, placement, uni, placement, holiday. It just went like that. It won't be the same. I already know my timetable for second year and it's completely different to that already. But it's sort of a real mix, and you're going up and down from one thing to the other, but the best thing about that is it gives you time to debrief. Our lecturers are really good at giving us these weeks of uni where we come back together and we sort of talk about things we've experienced on placement, and maybe if we need to debrief a situation, they were always there. It's really good to do that, and your uni friends, they'll become like your soul sisters. You can talk about midwifery, you can talk about your personal life because they understand where you're coming from. They're doing the same thing as you, and actually that's really important, because sometimes your friends who don't do the course and your family just won't get it. They don't understand like the work and like the emotion that it takes to do midwifery and go out there and practice it every day as well as learning at the same time. And constantly reflecting and evaluating yourself, it can be really exhausting.
So make time.
Make sure you have time for yourself. You learn about women, the world, and yourself, and how you feel about all of that. University is an amazing place which teaches you critical thinking and just analysing or reflecting on everything, and you can take that into every single part of your life, whether that be your placement work or your literal personal life and your relationships you have in your own life. You mature really quickly, especially if you're sort of a youngish student like me, or you're straight from school. You do mature really quickly, and it's like people do notice it. Your confidence will grow immensely. I remember my first year, I was so nervous. I'd just stand on the side of the room like this, wishing I could just jump in there and use my skills, because I had skills. I was just too scared to go ahead and use them. But don't be like that. Use your initiative. Just throw away all of the self-consciousness and the thoughts of, oh, what if I do something wrong? Because they're just going to get in your way, and just go in there and do it. And if someone says, do you want to do this, take these bloods? Do you want to palpate this abdomen? Do you want to do this VE? Just go ahead and do it. And if you're wrong, so what? Most of the time, your mentor or midwives will ask you to do things that they know you can't really go too wrong, at least at the start. And the more practice you have, the better you have at it. An example for me would be taking blood. I'd never done it before, but when I learnt it, and then when I was on placement, if someone asked me, can you take blood? I'd say yes. And they say, okay, do you want me to come in with you? And I'd normally say, yeah, I do. Sometimes now I don't, because I'm like, no, it's fine, I know what I'm doing. And they're happy for me because I'm confident about it. And I built that confidence from doing it and getting it right. But the important thing is, when you're learning a skill and putting it into practice, is thinking about the theory and then just doing it. The example of venipuncture, I can't even say that, I just say take blood. Palpate the vein, feel it. If you can't see it, feel it. Everyone has the same veins, you know, these ones. Feel them. And then sharp scratch. And then 9 times out of 10 you'll do it. But there's also the women who have crazy small veins, or they collapse on you, but no one's going to tell you off for saying, I can't do it. I need someone who can do it. A really good skill is to know your limits. It's really important. It's in the code. Don't do something which is like beyond your capability. Ask for help. No one's going to tell you off for asking for help, because they'd rather you ask for help than tried and did it wrong and hurt someone. Those are the main things. Placement is a whole crazy place, because people mostly haven't experienced it before. And you're nervous, you're anxious, you're worried about what you're going to wear, how you're going to have your hair, what shoes you're going to wear. Once you've got all that together, like, those are first week's problems. But once you've got all that together, you just go out there and you learn. Everything's a learning experience. Uni is amazing. I love it. There's so many opportunities. Get involved with your midwifery society, because more often than not they'll be offering you great study days for things that you can get certificates for and pop in your portfolio, and it's just really good to have those extracurriculars and get your paperwork done. That's the most important thing. Do your paperwork as you go. Don't leave it to the last minute, because you'll be floundering around at the end thinking, oh, I should have got this signed 6 months ago. Just be kind to yourself, take every day as it comes, and remember, you're learning. And just don't be too hard on yourself, and be a good friend. If you want to make good friends, you've got to be one. I heard that quote today and I really liked it. And you can really take that into midwifery. When you're a nice, warm, open person, you can get on with everyone and just be a nice person. That is my first year experience. I don't think I've missed anything. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the comments, or DM me on Instagram, you know, something like that. I'm happy to talk about midwifery, because I really remember so vividly how I felt before I started. The nerves, the anxiousness, the what ifs, what's it like. I kind of miss it, because now I'm like, people are expecting things of me. Good luck. You'll be amazing. And if you're as excited as I was to start in September, chill out. I'm joking. Keep the excitement. It's amazing. But yeah, comment, subscribe, follow my Instagram, read my blog, it's all in the description. If you've got any questions, leave them. I wish you the best of luck. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!